as we all are quite well aware, Ben Shapiro is quite the doofus, to say the least. Now, one of the most embarrassing things that Ben Shapiro has ever said has to do with climate change, and I've talked about that, and I'm going to touch on that in a second after I get into what he put out, and also explaining some of Ben Shapiro's tactics that he uses to try to sort of deflect and diffuse. So here's what happened. Basically, he put out a tweet where he got ratioed really hard. And if you go through the replies, I mean, it's just all replies dunking on him because this is literally the stupidest thing you could possibly put out there. And we're going to do a little bit of a sort of deep dive, a little bit here, not too much. But he put out this tweet, okay, and it has two screenshots, and I'm going to show these to you. So it has one of the tweets is a picture of this headline article. It says NBC News, a hole opens up under Antarctic glacier, big enough to fill 2/3 of Manhattan. Scientists say if Thwaites collapses, it could trigger a catastrophic rise in global sea levels, flooding coastal cities around the world. So, of course, that's one of the big concerns of climate change is rising sea levels. Now, then on the right, he has a screenshot that says, if the loss of ice becomes so severe that the glacier collapses, something computer models predict could happen in 50 to 100 years, sea levels would rise by 2 feet. That's enough to inundate coastal cities around the globe. So if, of course, if the sea levels are to rise 2 feet, as it says, it will make it so that water is above land and there's no way to live there because water is above land at that point. And so they'll be just flooded with water. And we'll get to what Ben Shapiro said was his solution to that, which is absolutely hilarious. But as you can see here, what's highlighted is 50 to 100 years. And so what he's attempting to do is highlight that. And his tweet that he put out says, everybody panic in full caps. And then he says, oh, wait. As if like, oh, like, you know, this is the headline reads something really crazy about climate change. But, you know, really it's 50 to 100 years, you know, oh, that's nothing, you know, it's not a problem at all. Like, relax, dude. And that is legitimately one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my entire life, okay? This guy is, I think, like 34, 50 years, he's still going to be alive. You know, people are asking, like, oh, how old are your kids? Like, because the dumb fuck has kids. And so they'll make it, you know, between that 50 to 100 for sure. But his dumbass is going to make it between that 50 and 100 more years too. You know what I'm saying? So why is that a long time? And he's tried to use this as an argument. Like, oh, it'll happen in 100 years. That's not that long, you fucking idiot. That's 2 lifetimes. That's it. That's 2 lifetimes. For some people, it's 1 lifetime. For people born today, 100 years, you could possibly make that. Now, it's obviously very unlikely, but some people are going to make that. But it's definitely 2 lifetimes. So it's not, you know, Ben's kids. It's Ben and his dumbass fucking self and his kids, dude. That's not that long, and I don't know why people act as if it's like this super long. First of all, it's not even long in the common sense realm of like, oh shit, my ass is gonna be alive, and then my kids are finna be alive too. That right there is just common sense, like very surface level understanding. But when you take it to a level of like, you know, you zoom out and you look at it from a scientific sense, 50 to 100 years is less than microscopic. It's not even microscopic. It's less than microscopic. It's smaller than microscopic in the grand scheme of things. And in the when you're talking about actually like the science and how long that is in terms of the climate, it's a joke in terms of time. But hey, dumbass, your bitch ass is going to be alive. Your kids are going to be alive. Stop being an idiot. That's not that long. 50 to 100 years means it's time to panic right now. Right now. Because we're going to be alive 50 to 100 years. Your kids are going to be alive 50 to 100 years. That's not that fucking long. Don't be stupid. That's insanely dumb. And he had to follow up with this tweet with another response because he was getting ratioed, you know, into oblivion because this is the dumbest thing I've ever read in my entire life. And he responded to this saying, the point here isn't that we shouldn't worry about climate change. That is, and I'll get into that. He says, the point is that the headline and subheadline completely missed the timeline, which is a key component of the story. The timeline, is not does not change the response that we should be having. 50 to 100 years is literally nothing in terms of time. That means we need to panic now and we need to act now. We need to panic and act now. We need to fix the issue now so we don't have a 2 feet rise in sea levels, because as it says, a shit ton of coastal cities will be flooded. And I'm going to show you guys what Shapiro said about climate change and why we shouldn't worry. Check it out.
Climate change denier, therefore you're a fool. Right? As opposed to, okay, maybe you're wrong about climate change denial, but here's the solution that you're ignoring. Where's the solution that's being ignored? Right? I'm sorry, it's not Holocaust denial. The use of the language denier is pretty ridiculous on its face, considering that 30 years ago they were claiming there was going to be a grand ice age that was going to freeze us all to death. So, I'm willing to wait for the evidence to come in, especially given the fact that we don't have a good solution for it at this point. Once there's a plausible solution that the left actually wants to propose, we can talk about costs and benefits of it. But I also have to understand what exactly is the real imminent threat to human life. I mean, the idea that the gradual rise of sea levels is going to kill hundreds of millions of people it's just fantasy. It's just fantasy. It's not going to kill. They act like the day after tomorrow is how global warming is going to be. Right? Like a giant wave is going to sweep in, and then the next morning it will freeze, and all of New York will be under ice, and Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal will be trying to fight their way through it. That's not how global warming is going to happen. Right? Global warming is going to happen, if it does happen, the rate they say it's going to, it's supposed to happen over the course of the next 100 years. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that all of the water levels around the world rise by let's say 5 feet over the next 100 years, say 10 feet by the next 100 years, and it puts all the low-lying areas on the coast underwater. Right, which let's say all of that happens. You think that people aren't going to just sell their homes and move? It's not like it's all going to happen at once. Like there's a big tsunami that comes and wipes out everybody. So human beings have a way of adjusting. Human beings have a way of dealing with these things. And I have more faith in human beings to deal with the crucial move from Santa Monica to the San Fernando Valley than I do in okay, we're all going to stop using our cars, burning coal, and using electricity.
That's legitimately the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It's objectively the dumbest thing ever stated, because who is going to buy the property that is underwater, you unbelievable diphthong and you dipshit? And in that same talk that he's doing where he's supposedly owning libs, when really he's just getting pegged by Steven Crowder, he also says a bunch of fake shit, like, oh, the ice sheets are actually growing. They're not going down. He doesn't bring in the Greenland figure. He just use the Antarctic figure because it benefits his ideology. He's a fucking idiot and a moron. I've legitimately never seen a dumber. Who's going to buy the property that's underwater? You can't sell underwater property. And so combining that with this unbelievable, unmatched stupidity that I've ever seen in my entire life, there is no way to take this man seriously, especially on this issue, okay? You can take him seriously on other issues. On climate change, you are disqualified. You are a moron. And I've seen him do something that we're going to talk about right now, which is, and he just did it here, he knows that for him, it's not the hill to die on. So the way that he deflects and diffuses is he goes, oh, well, I actually care about the climate. It's just that, I don't know what a solution is, and I don't know what the timeline is. And so that's what he says right here. He's lying out of his ass. And the reason why he's doing that is because it is a desperate, sad, depressing attempt at attempting to maintain any sort of non-existent credibility he has on this issue and his image in general. Because when you start denying science and when you start not using common sense logic, like, hey, dumb fuck, you're going to be alive in 50 years. Hey, dumb fuck, your kids are going to be alive in 50 to 100 years. When you stop doing that and the dude graduated from Harvard with a law degree, and I don't understand how those two things are compatible. How the fuck can you do that? This dude's a Harvard law grad, and he's unable to comprehend the fact that he'll be alive in 50 years and his kids will be alive 50 to 100 years. That it's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. It's insane. It's insanity. But anyways, don't believe him. Obviously, I know you guys aren't going to believe him, but he's trying to do an attempt to muster up some credibility which doesn't exist. Because what he does is he spends the whole time denying. And Jordan Peterson has a different tactic. What Jordan Peterson's tactic is, I don't even think he said I don't even think I've heard him say he gives a shit about the climate. I think I've seen him do this. What he does is he tries to muddy the waters and make the subject so complicated by saying basically, oh, well, we don't know if the results are reliable, and we don't know a reliable way to check the sources and know what's true or not, and we don't know, and even if we do know, then what do we do? And so he tries to muddy the waters and make it super complicated because he's finna die soon. And then, well, I don't know how old he is. He'll probably live to the 2 feet rise, but he wants to fill his pockets, and most important to him is to keep his image up. And it's beneficial to his image that he doesn't outright deny climate change. And so instead of doing that, because it's so damaging to someone's image, because you're just denying science, he just tries to make it look really difficult to even like try to solve anything. And then what ends up happening is you don't do anything. It's like what happens when you listen to Jimmy Dore. Like you're like, fuck the system. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to stay home. That's what you get from Jordan Peterson's climate change shtick. Is well, shit. I mean, I may or may not be a problem, but what are we supposed to do? We don't know if the predictions are right. We don't know what the blah 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 blah. That's what he does. What Shapiro does is he goes, no, I actually think we should do something about the climate, but he doesn't say what. And any time you talk about the climate, he's always on the other side.